We are only 2 weeks away from the new expansion launching. We've had less than a week of 100% anomalies. How is your Hearthstoning going? We're going to go through some budget deck options for the next 7 days. This will get you at least your 5 wins. These are all above 50% win rates, below 5,000 dust, and through all regions. I found a few decks that'll help you climb. Let's get into it. First of all, to go over the win rates right now, from what I'm seeing in all rank ladders right now, Druid is dominating. There are some people that are posting up that, hey, all they're seeing is every 2 games is a Druid game. So Druid's at 54.7%, Paladin right next to it. And maybe it's just because that people are tired of seeing Paladin so dominating. No, listen, Druid has multiple decks. We're gonna get into it. This is gonna be a Druid day for everybody. They're pretty strong right now. And one of the things I wanted to show everybody to make sure we see this, and thanks to hsreplay.net for all of the awesome information. Look at all these tier 1 decks that we're seeing. Each one of these is below 6,000 dust. So if you're a budget player, it is a good time for you. All of these, there's multiple. I mean, listen, we only have 3 classes here, but 3 classes, tier 1, below 6,000 dust. It used to be unheard of to have something like this. But what decks are we going to talk about today? Are we going to talk about Paladin? No, we're not going to talk about Paladin. We're not going to talk about Hunter, only because we have talked about them last week, week before that. We haven't talked about these decks recently. Number 1, let's talk about Sludge Warlock. I am not a huge fan of this deck. Not because it's a bad deck. It's at 4,680 dust with a 60.3% win rate, bronze through gold. It's a deck that's just playing for one simple thing. You're just trying to get that win condition out. It's not, there's not a lot of huge creativity here, but if you're looking just to jam this deck and go and win games and be done with it for the week, this is good. There's others that are going to disagree with me and think I'm absolutely crazy. It's personal preference, and I love Warlock. Warlock is amazing, but to get into each one of the cards, Miracle Salesman. What is Miracle Salesman's going to do? It's going to put something on the board early and then have that tradable snake oil. The only reason you're trying to do that is just to find some cards in your deck that you can bring out. Monstrous Form. You want to go ahead and use this because it's going to give that friendly minion +3/+3 until your next turn. And one of the things you're going to want to put that on there is Sludge on Wheels. So Sludge on Wheels is the rush, and whenever this takes damage, get a barrel of sludge and add 1 to the bottom of your deck. You want that to be as alive as possible for as long as possible. So you're usually going to want to use that Monstrous Form for the Sludge on Wheels. You got Tram Mechanic, and that is Death Rattle. Get a barrel of sludge, and this is the win condition that you're going to be looking for. You want to put as many sludges in your hand, in your deck as possible, bottom of your deck, so you can do some other fun stuff. Baritone Imp. Take fatigue damage, gain that much attack and health. This is just to have something on board for you to be to smack your opponent in the face or take down a minion here and there. You're going to do a lot of damage to yourself with this deck. Anytime you're playing Warlock, don't worry so much about your health because your health is going to be hit multiple times. You got Crescendo here. Take fatigue damage. Deal that much damage to all enemies. So this is a good board clear. I wouldn't play this immediately, so you're just doing 1 damage to all of your enemies. You want to do this at multiple instances after the fact, so it's like a 3 damage to all enemies, what have you. Disposal Assistant. Battlecry and Death Rattles. Put a barrel of sludge on the bottom of your deck. You want this. This is why there's 2 of them in there. We talked about it. All you want is sludges. That's what you're looking to do. Furnace Fuel. When this is played, discarded, or destroyed, draw 2 cards. You want card draw. Absolutely, you want card draw for multiple reasons. You have those sludges, you have ways of getting closer to the bottom of your deck with this, or you need cards. This is a good card. Sludge on Wheels, we've talked about this one. This is the main thing. You want to sit there and make this as strong as possible. You want to make it as healthy as possible to use this as many times. 1 hit of this, getting 1 barrel of sludge, it's okay, but it's not going to be something great. So please work on using that Monstrous Form to get to it. Trog Gem Tosser. Deal 1 damage to a random enemy for each of your mana crystals. That's the finale. It's just something to mess around with your opponent's board that way. Trolley Problem. discard your lowest cost spell. Summon 2 3/3 tram cards with Rush, and the quick draws don't discard. So one of the things you want to do is, because there's hopefully not going to be a lot of spells besides those sludges, will attack with those. So when you're sitting there and discarding a sludge and that's doing damage, you'll go ahead and also have 2 tram cards with Rush on the board, and you'll be able to fight your opponent. Crazed Conductor, take fatigue damage, summon that many 3/3 imps. So again, you want to be able to use this when you've already taken fatigue damage, so it's hitting you for a little bit more. Yes, but it's also giving you that many imps that you can put on the board to help you have board control. Forge of Wills, it's a utility. You'll be able to use this in several instances when you have something on board to be able to fight or potentially block your opponent from doing anything. Gloomstone Guardian. This is a taunt with the choose one of discard 2 cards or destroy one of your mana crystals, and if you forge it, it does neither. It's an elemental. It's a 6/8. It's pretty strong. It's got taunt. It helps protect your face from getting hit. Because remember, you're not going to have a huge amount of health after you're doing all the things, because you're taking a lot of fatigue damage with those other cards. Popgar the Putrid. This is how you get your health back. Popgar is going to make your fell spells cost 2 less and have lifesteal. So all of those barrels of sludges will get you health back. So remember that. Waste Remover. This is one of the main win conditions of the game. If you have a lot of sludges, you know, at the end of your turn, destroy the bottom 3 cards of your deck. You're going to have those sludges in there. When the sludges are destroyed, you will hit your opponent for some damage. And then the last one of this deck is Chaos Creation. Deal 5 damage. Summon a random 5-cost minions. Those are okay, but that's not really what you're wanting to do. Destroy the bottom 5 cards of your deck. You know what you're wanting them to do. So get as many sludges as possible into your deck and then use them to kill your opponent. It's very simple, very easy. But again, the reason I'm not a huge fan of this is just this is one win condition. Get to the win condition. There's no back and forth. You know, you're fighting to make sure you're getting the win condition out. And I like decks that have a little bit more control and adjustment that way, to where you're ducking and jiving, if you will. So let's start talking next about Druid. We have several different options here. When we're talking about Druid, Druid's amazing right now. Druid has multiple. So they have combo. They have Highlander even, although that's expensive. They have Treant. There's also Dragon Druid. Let's talk about Dragon Druid right now. That is 4,240 dust at a 52.9% win rate. This one is very good, very easy to pilot. You're just jamming dragons out, making sure that your dragon combos pop off to get the best potential opportunity, and then before you know it, your opponent has no more health. Cactus Construct, we know what it does. You're just putting a minion on board potentially. You're just getting an extra minion, because your later turns, you're not going to have, your earlier turns, you're not going to have a bunch of minions to throw on board. Living Roots, deal 2 damage or summon 2 1/1 saplings. Same thing. You're trying to get some stuff on the board to make your opponent, start focusing on that. Dragon Tails. Get 2 random dragons that cost 5 or less, or get 2 that cost more than 5. Take your pick. It's dependent on what you need. If you need those smaller dragons right now, if you need to put something in your hand, you don't have a lot based on what you drew for the first couple of cards, do the early ones. If not, do the later ones when you need it. Fairy Dragon. This is the elusive, so unless it's an AoE spell, you're going to be able to keep this one on board for as much as possible. No direct spells will go there. Mark of the Wild, give a minion taunt and +2/+3, so we know what that does. It doesn't need any explanation there. Splish Splash Whelp. If you're holding a dragon, gain an empty mana crystal. Druids love mana. That's just the way it is. Frost Lotus Seeding. Whatever this goes into your hand, just keep it in your hand as long as possible until it blossoms, so you can draw the multiple cards, you can gain more armor. Just do that. Swipe is, exactly what it is. It's a little bit of AoE damage depending on where you need it, how you need it. Take to the skies, draw 2 dragons, give them +1/+1. You're going to draw 2 of the dragons and make them stronger. Why wouldn't you do this? Desert Nest Matron, Battlecry. If you're holding a dragon, refresh 4 mana crystals, and this is a taunt, so keep something on the board, enables you to do some other turn right there. It's a little bit overpowered in my opinion. Spine-tailed Drake, if you're holding a dragon, deal 5 damage to an enemy minion, and you will be holding a dragon, so it's just 5 damage to an enemy minion, and it's a dragon for you to be able to keep on board. Time Lost Proto-Drake, when you draw this, add a random dragon to your hand. This is super powerful. For a 4 or 5 taunt, has that spell. Just don't keep it in your hand. Mulligan it when it comes in your hand in the beginning of the game. Twilight Drake. Gain 1 health for each card in your hand. You're going to have a lot of cards in your hand. Don't put this out. There's no reason to put this out immediately. There's no reason to put this out unless you have a lot of cards in your hand. Get it like a 4-4, 4-5 at least. Don't make it a 4-1. It's silly. Dragon Golem. This one is the best dragon card, and you're going to have hopefully a lot of dragons in your hand. And this one summons a copy of this for each dragon in your hand, and this is going to have hopefully an entire board of taunts, especially if you might be able to make it a 1/1 additional with the Take to the Skies. Last up, Fi the Setting Sun Rush Lifesteal Taunt. Costs 1 less for each dragon you summon this game. You're probably going to get this down much less. It's a rush, it's taunt, it's lifesteal, it's 12 health. It's very difficult to kill in terms of just board control with minions, so this one could potentially stay on later. And then Ysera, at the end of your turn, get 2 random dream cards. That's great. It's a 4/12 as well. It's a dragon. You'll be able to do all those fun stuff. There are some cards that you can be able to put in here. Any dragon card that's able to be played right now is perfect. And the cool thing about this deck, even though it's just dragon specific or what have you, is some of the essentials run into the combo druid, which is essentially, you know, just a mixture of like a dragon druid and a hero powered druid and all that fun stuff. One of the things you can add to your dragon druid deck is this gift wrap welt. 1 mana, 2/1. If you're holding a dragon, give it and this minion +1/+1. Why wouldn't you want to do that? We're gonna go and talk about combo druid right now, but this card, like I said, any dragon would work in that dragon druid deck. Let's go and see what the combo is. Combo is 4,840 dust with the 53.8% win rate, and this is, like I said, it's a little mixture of everything that druid has going for it. I like this one out of all of them, even though, you know, the win rates are not as good as Treant Druid. You know, it's really good, and it's a little bit higher in terms of win rates besides Dragon Druid, but not by much. But like I said, this is a Dragon Druid, and this is a hero powered Druid, and this is just a little mixture of both. Gift wrap, well, we want to make sure that the dragons in the hand or in the deck, they're bigger, so this will be able to give something, including this dragon +1/+1, and it's 1 mana. That's a really good deal. Magical Dollhouses to gain spell damage +1. Malfurion's Gift. Utility, when you need it, you have it. Peaceful Piper. Draw a beast or discover one. I'll show you why you'll want that later on. Bottomless Toy Chest. Discover a card from your deck. If you have spell damage, copy it. So you'll be able to copy some minions just by using this, and especially if you have spell damage. But we already talked about the magical dollhouse having spell damage, so there's a perfect opportunity there. Groovy Cat. Your hero power gives you hero 1 more attack this game. It's a battle cry and a death rattle. This is a great card for being able to increase your hero power attack, especially in the later turns. So you have 2 of these there. It's great to increase your attack. We're going to go over into more combos of it later. Splish Splash Whelp. If you're holding a dragon, gain a mana crystal. We know what this one does. We just talked about it. Swipe for potential board clear or hitting other things. Utility. Take to the Skies. This one sounds familiar. So the cool thing is, with these decks that I'm talking about, you can mix and match. So if you have part of the dragon or part of the combo, it could be very easy for you to make both of these decks and just see which one is more fun for you. Trog Gem Tosser, we talked about this one as well. Chia Drake. This one's pretty fun. It's got the miniaturized keyword, the choose one, gain spell damage +1, or draw a spell. So depending on what you need, if you need to have that pop off because of the spell damage, pick the spell damage with this one. And it's a miniaturized, so you're going to get a 1 mana 1/1 mini version of this as well in your hand. So it's a great card. Desert Nymph Matron, if you're holding a dragon, refresh more mana crystals, spread the word, draw 2 cards, cost 1 less for each attack your hero has. So this could be a 0 mana 1 immediately. And it's just card draw for very little mana. It's a beautiful thing. Woodland Wonders, summon 2 1/5 beetles with taunt, cost 3 less if you have spell damage. We talked about that. 2 mana for 2 1/5 beetles with taunt. Come on, forget about it. It's very good. Ziliax is in here, and Ziliax is in most of the decks you see across the game right now. It's got your other minions have +1/+1. We know what that's going to do. And then it also has cost 1 less for each minion in play. So if you have a bunch of stuff on board, this will be cheap, and then you'll buff up all your other minions. That's beautiful. As well as Fi the Setting Sun. Like I said, a lot of these cards work with the other decks. So you'll be able to play both of these pretty easily with just less than 5,000 dust. Again, I like the combo one better. I loved the Hero Power Druid. It's not as huge in favor right now, but it is a good deck. So this is just something that lets you do some of the hero power stuff that Druid was really good at recently. Last up we're going to go to right now. The last one we're going to talk about. And yes, we are talking about Druid. I said that. This is a Druid time right now. Treant Druid. This one is 4,600 dust, so it's a little bit cheaper with a 58.4% win rate. And we're just doing Treant Druid stuff and then going ahead and having cultivation to give them +2/+2, and then the cultivation's going to be super cheap. Let's go into the cards. Innervate. 1 mana crystal this turn only. That's fine. You can make some tweaks with this deck as well if you don't want to use the Innervate. It is helpful to have as much mana as possible for as early as possible, but this won't kill you. So if there's other cards that you want to tech out into it, absolutely. Cactus Construct just gives you a 2-cost minion, and then it summons a 1/1 copy of it, so you'll be able to have something on board. See if maybe it's something beneficial that gives you a death rattle or something like that, something that interacts with your deck. Forest Seedlings. Summon 2 1/1 saplings. It'll blossom in 2 turns. Just keep it and save it if you can, because the blossoming is pretty cool. Funnel Cake. Restore 3 health to a minion and its neighbors. For each one overhealed, refresh a mana crystal. So you can pop this off very easily, get all of your mana back just by using Funnel Cakes. Living Roots, deal 2 damage or summon 2 1/1 saplings, and it's a choose 1, so it's some damage, or depending on what you need on the board. Miracle Salesman, we know what this does. We've already talked about this one today. Vicious Slither Spear. After you cast a spell, gain 1 attack until your next turn. So put this on the board. Hopefully it stays on the board, and then just do some nutty stuff with Innervate or Cactus Construct or the Forest Seedlings, and you'll be able to, have a very strong pop-off with Vicious Slither Spear. Normally, when you put this out the first turn, unless your opponent has no way of just dealing with something right away, they're going to pay attention to this right away. So if you're trying to build up a combo, throw this on the board, and usually 9 times out of 10, they're going to try to attack it, and if they can't, it's advantageous to you to just throw those spells out and hit your opponent. Okay, Witchwood Apple. Add 2 2/2 Treants in your hand. We know what this is going to do. This is called Treant Druid. We know why we're wanting Treants. Aerosolizer, and I probably said that wrong. Summon a 2/2 Treant as the battle cry and the death rattle. And you have 2 of those. We want Treants. Conservator Nymph. Battle Cry, transform a friendly Treant into a 5/5 ancient with taunt. So that little 1 word on the board is going to be a 5/5 with taunt with just this little card right here. And this right here is a 3/4, so that's not bad as well. Overgrown Beanstalks, summon a 2/2 Treant, draw a card for each Treant you control. So use this sparingly when you make sure that you have Treants on the board, more than just this a 2/2 Treant. Don't put one on the board and just draw one card. Draw 4 or 5 cards by having some other stuff on the board. Blood Treant costs health instead of mana. Yes, this is 5 health, but you're not really too worried about it. You know, this is good to get something on the board fast, early. You could do this immediately, and then the opponent is going to be worried about this card. Summer Flower Child, draw 2 cards that cost 6 or more, and the finale is they cost 1 less. We know what this one does. This one's very good. You want to go ahead and either get Hearthstone Brew. This will replace your hand with an iconic one. What I would usually do with this is just wait until you're kind of gassed out and you have nothing in your hand to have as many cards as possible from that, because it's going to replace everything. So you're going to have a full hand full of like some sort of iconic hand from Hearthstone's past. You've seen it before. It's fun, and this can win games. This one card can win games on its own. Cultivation. We know what this one does. This one gives that minions +2/+2, and it's really, really cheap depending on how many treants you've summoned this game. And then Ziliax has Pylon, which gives everybody else your other minions +1/+1, and then costs 1 less for each minion in play. This one is good as well. This one does not share a lot of the same cards as Dragon does or Combo does or what have you, but this one is, based on the 3, I think a little bit stronger than each one of those. It's a little bit more complicated. Dragon Druid is easy to play, in my opinion. Combo Druid is very easy to play as well. This one takes a little bit of manipulation, but each one of them could get you at least your 5 wins. Come on. And the cool thing is, with all of these dragon decks that I talked about, they are capable of going much higher than gold. I try to put the rank wall at gold for all of these decks that I'm building out, and these can go pretty far. There's people right now that are in high legend that are fighting a combination of a druid deck in some way, shape, or form during that climb, so this can last you better than it has in a long time. I have commenters that are saying to me that, hey, I'm reaching legend, or I'm able to reach legend faster, or I'm able to go through the motions on this and go even further than gold, more than I've ever done. And I haven't been doing this for years and years and years, but I've been watching this for years, and I would 100% agree with them. Rambled enough. Don't forget, I have a giveaway. I'm going to call the contest winner on the 15th. Here's the video. Like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and I will see you in the next one.